Environmental pollution contributed to the deaths of about 9 million people. That's nearly 15 times as many deaths from war and all forms of violence.
Air pollution is making headlines around the world. Hi, I'm Ethan.
And I'm Zive. Our project is looking at the effects of car emissions on our health and the environment.
And I'm Oliver. Together we hope to look at possible solutions to this threat to our daily lives. In order to fully understand this global threat, we spoke with a chemical engineer who has extensive international experience.
You burn oil, petrol, diesel, you get carbon dioxide and water. 20% of the energy in a litre of diesel and petrol is useful. The other 80% is lost. The big one is the carbon dioxide that causes the global warming, and then the sulfur and the nitrogen oxides that actually affect your lungs, plus also these very fine particles that are created, very, very fine dust particles that are created during burning, and those go for your lungs.
Your car releases emissions even when it's standing still.
Arguably, the biggest source of pollutant emissions from new vehicles now comes from non-exhaust sources. Tires, as they roll, they leave little particles on the road which affects our health and the environment. Brake dust is a fine particulate matter that is released when the brake pads are applied. These tiny particles have been linked to cardiovascular and respiratory diseases. The particles that come off the brakes and tires while driving can be split up into three different categories: PM10 and PM2.5, which are particles under 10 and 2.5 microns respectively, and ultrafine 100 nanometer particles, which are 900 times smaller than a grain of fine sand. Together, these form smog, which is choking many cities around the world.
Well, the climate change pollution, the carbon dioxide pollution, is very much a threat to society. Carbon dioxide warming is definitely making things worse already, but it could become quite catastrophic in the next 10, 15 years if we don't stop our emissions.
Transport makes up 1/4 of the world's greenhouse gas emissions, and those emissions kill more people in developed countries than car accidents. We as individuals and communities have the ability to change how we move around our urban ecosystem.
What you've got to do to change emissions, you start with a technological solution. You've got to have a technology that fixes it. An electric car gets 4 times as much mileage from the equivalent of a liter of petrol.
I'm Alexander Dirks is my name. I'm a qualified electrical engineer. I work in power. I'm a great believer in alternative energy resources, be it sustainable power like solar power, wind power. And this is also one of the reasons why I'm driving an electric car, because I'm also really trying to make a contribution to this planet in terms of sustainability, in terms of clean energy, in terms of really preserving this planet.
In order for these vehicles to reduce emissions, we need to charge these cars with sustainable energy such as solar. Here we are driving in a silent electric car. We need to look at different forms of technology such as electric fuels, biofuels and hydrogen fuel cell cars. But there's no silver bullet. Carpooling and using public transport will curb our community's transport emissions. And to really make a big difference, we all need to be aware about this growing threat to our daily lives. Electric cars are able to put power back into the battery when not accelerating. This is called regenerative braking.
On the left hand side, so now it's basically recharging the battery as I'm going slowly downhill.
How would you create more awareness about car emissions?
So I'm Grant, and I'm the owner of the Geeky petrol station in Europe. But I think definitely if we were built based on our emissions of our vehicles, like a road tax say, we'd be more aware and more sensitive to it. But I think the easiest way is to affect their pockets.
In terms of what you guys can do, create awareness in the adults that things have to change, that you're the younger generation and you're going to be part with the problem that they've created. So you must work on the social aspects, like it's not a good idea to idle your car with all those emissions coming up. Try and make people be more socially responsible.
We calculated that if parents didn't idle at Hout Bay International School, we would save 487 kilograms of CO2 every year. This correlates to planting 19 trees.
We aren't going to run out of hydrocarbons and fossil fuels in the foreseeable future,
But we are gonna run out of clean air.
and we have to work together to change our habits and make a greener future. Time is running out. Be part of the solution, not the pollution.